difference there, as opposed to Love Island.
By the way, who would you have on your Love Island?
Oh, you
Pack your bags. It's time for Love Island.
No, I wouldn't put you on. I would.
Would you?
Sometimes I would, sometimes I wouldn't.
She's lying.
It's a love-hate relationship. I love to hate.
She's lying.
Now, the guest today is, I have to say, I'm a bit of a super fan of this guy, because I listen to a podcast called Anything Goes with James English, and I listen to it a lot when I'm driving to and from London, being from the north. And I've listened to this guy, and I thought he was amazing, and then I ended up Googling, and I ended up down a massive rabbit hole. I think he's really well-spoken. I think he speaks really well and positively. So this guy is Britain's richest gypsy. Is it fair to say that, Alfie?
That's what they say.
I think you're getting there, aren't you? So you own a lot. Would you just come forward a little bit so we can get you on mic? Thank you, Alfie. So you own like a huge amount of caravan parks, don't you?
Mobile home parks, yeah.
Yes. And but that isn't how you started off, is it?
I'm a gypsy.
Yeah.
So I started off selling tarmac. I didn't do too well when I came in the building, because I asked them if they wanted the drive done. They showed me the door again, so...
But that's where you started, and that was with your dad, is that right?
Yeah, look, I was born as a gypsy, and look, that comes with a lot of stigma. You know, liars, cheats and thieves, and they're going to steal your kids, and, you know, that's the stereotype it comes with.
Yeah.
So the bar's set a little bit higher. But, you know, in this country we have the stiff upper lip, and there's a glass ceiling to stop what I see as common people reaching their goals.
Yeah.
And I think it's up to people like us to show that there is no stopping us. And if you've got the will to succeed and the time to put in, and you're not lazy, the rest is there for you to take.
I think it's fantastic, because there's not a lot of people who don't come from like a generational wealth, really. And my granddad was a rag and bone man, so my dad got called steptoe all through school. So we come from a very big family. So I've been called a gypsy. I'm not from gypsy heritage, but there is some back within our family.
There's a lot of you, rag and bone man.
Yeah.
You're getting there.
I know. So I feel like I kind of understand a little bit where you're coming from, and it's really nice to see, because you don't think that that's possible for people who come from a more poorer background.
Look, my philosophy in life is it's not where you're from, it's where you're going. You know, life's about a journey.
In my case, down.
The down can only be up.
Yeah, that's right.
It's the devil horns.
But you know something? I was reading about some of the concepts that gypsies have, and I think this is a really interesting point, because if you think about it, right, and people might not be familiar with this, if I've got a title deed for my house, right, what that is, nobody is born with land, are they? So what happens is somebody at some point in history has clunked everyone over the head and nicked it. So all you're doing is you're buying a piece of paper that was generated from a piece of paper that was generated from an original theft, effectively. And my understanding is that gypsies take the view, well, hang on a second, you're saying that this is your property. We simply do not accept necessarily that view on property.
Well, what I would say is this is for gypsies. Gypsies are born as a free spirit.
Yeah.
You know, like, there's several different types of travellers.
Yes.
You've got the gypsies that come from northern India, you've got the travellers that came from Ireland, and all of a sudden, you know, people that have got a nomadic lifestyle get called gypsies as well.
Yeah.
You know, across the board. Whereas, to be fair with you, I actually think it's not, you know, just because a horse is born in the field doesn't make it a cow.
Yes.
Just because a dog is born in the stable doesn't make it a horse.
Right.
You are what you are.
Yes.
And it took me a long time to actually accept and come out. Because it comes with a stigma.
Yeah.
So I would say I only actually accepted the point to be vocal that I'm a traveller.
But you
15 years ago.
But you are phenomenally rich by any standard. You're phenomenally rich. But what about places like the private members clubs in London? You know, all of these really sort of posh places that are old money. Are you welcome in places like that?
No. Just got refused one the other day.
No.
Go on, name it.
No.
Go on, which one?
It would be unfair to slaughter, but absolutely true. Yeah, I got refused.
How ridiculous.
And how I would say is this, is, you know, establishments are still here, and as I've said, we've got the stiff upper lip in the UK, and how I see myself as an advocate for kicking the glass ceiling in.
Yes. And you are.
Because of course, without being funny, the private members' clubs, whether they be well, all of them on Pall Mall, I went to private school, I'm entirely welcome, and I, compared to you, am poor, bluntly.
Yeah, but it's a mindset, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Like, what I would say is you can be rich in many other ways. And I'm not trying to hog the question one way or the other.
No, I understand what you're saying.
For me, if somebody says to me, what are my goals in life, they're purely based on financial goals.
Yes.
I'm lucky to the point that I found something in life that I love, I enjoy, and I swear to you, I believe that I'm changing people's lives.
Yeah.
The government doesn't like what we do.
No.
Because I'm providing affordable housing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wildcrest Parks is a mobile home park company.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you would assume the government would love that. Why don't they like it? Because it's not financially viable for them.
Yes.
But it creates people with affordable housing, no stamp duty, and this is not a sales...
I know, and it's a lot of people retire that way.
There is a significant criticism. I used to be senior parliamentary assistant to the MP for Morecambe, and as you know, there's a lot of caravan parks in Morecambe. The complaint is that actually what caravan park owners do is they get you on the plot, they then sell you the caravan, then decide that the caravan's too old, force you off the site or to sell it back to them. And also it is a bean can, they're difficult to eat.
That's a holiday park.
Right.
A residential park, you have a 1983 Mobile Home Act agreement, which is an indefinite agreement.
Okay.
Right.
So there is no time limit.
Okay.
So it's basically a leasehold with no time limit.
Right.
So a 1983 residential park home estate is not a lifetime agreement.
No.
It's an indefinite agreement.
Oh, right.
How do you keep it nice? How do you make people have pride?
Danielle, I want to tell them this story. I've got a great story. So you've been refused a private members club. Listen to this. This is a story that Kelvin Mackenzie told me. Now, by the way, we broadcast in Liverpool. Don't turn off. It's negative about Kelvin. Right, so he wants to go. He's well into tennis, and he wanted to go when he moved to Weybridge, to the Weybridge Tennis Club. And apparently he sent in his application to join, and the secretary wrote back saying, we're refusing you membership. So he phoned up and he said, I can't believe it. You've refused me membership. You've never even met me. And the secretary of Weybridge Tennis Club said, we've not met Saddam Hussein either, and he can't join, which I think is absolutely brilliant. Mind
you, I did get a revote to be able to join the members club when I told them I was parking a caravan outside the front.
Genius. Sorry, Danielle, I interrupted you.
No, it's fine. No, but how do you do that? Because people might
park the caravan at the front.
No, people might assume that because you've got a mobile home that you're not going to take pride in. But I see that isn't the case. Look, I think people do.
This is what I would say is, look, like-minded people together come together.
Yeah.
And we have an awful lot of people that live on our parks that genuinely love their homes. And they're basically a like-for-like bricks and mortar bungalow, but they're built as a modular building.
Yes.
And is it just gypsies?
No,
it's probably not even the majority.
Can I be honest with you?
Yes.
We have 119 parks throughout the UK, and there's not one single gypsy lives on those residential parks.
Brilliant.
We have...
no, don't say that. Brilliant. Right, you know, they have a right to live there if they want to live there. You can imagine. Come on, excellent, there's no gypsies there.
I don't mean I'm glad there's no gypsy. I mean, isn't that brilliant? But it isn't.
It's fantastic.
You can tell where you forgot your roots already.
I'll tell you, Alfie, I was concerned when I looked round.
No, but brilliant as in that's not the case, is it? It isn't just for gypsies.
Look, it isn't just for gypsies, and there are two different types of sites. With gypsies, they tend to be on gypsy sites and they tend to live in their own communities.
Yeah.
That's actually not by chance.
Yes.
That's actually government implemented.
Yeah.
Because did you know that most planning permissions for gypsy sites are only for gypsies?
Yes, that's right.
And if you're not a gypsy, you can't live on that site.
See, I used to work for the Royal Borough of Windsor and Maidenhead, and we had some really great guys in Datchet, and so whenever we got... The government would say, you've got to put 5 extra caravans in. The whole borough, they all moved to Datchet. But I'll tell you what, no, I'm not joking. The money that was raised by the gypsy community in Datchet was massive. They're well into tug-of-war competitions.
Do you know what I would say? And this is one of the things that I've found on my journey of life. And we all change. Every 10 years, I think we become a different person.
That's a fair point.
There is good and bad in every creed, colour and race.
Yes.
And it isn't what you are, it's the person you are which makes you either a good person or a bad person. And that's pretty much how I see it.
Before we go on to Loathe Island, I've got one question for you. I've got a friend of mine whose nickname has always been, since he was a kid, Matt the Chav. And the reason he's called Matt the Chav is because chav is the gypsy word for boy, isn't it?
That's absolutely right, chavvy.
Yeah, so he was on the council estate, and he was known as Matt the Chav because he was the gypsy boy.
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
Way before.
Chavvy is boy.
I didn't know that. That's where it comes from.
Right, sorry, go on.
Yeah, there's so much I want to ask you, because I wanted to ask you. You talked about how they take the children out of school because of sex education. All this is really intriguing to me. However, you are here to talk about Loathe Island, aren't you? So
go on, let's do the sting again. Come on, let's have another go.
Everyone's forgot.
Everyone's forgot.
Pack your bags. It's time for Loathe Island.
So three names of people you would put on your Loathe Island.
Harry.
Oh, yes. Oh, he's gone down well.
Last week and this week.
Can I tell you, he's now the most popular gypsy in Britain?
He was on last week, nominated last week as well, wasn't it?
Nicola Sturgeon.
Oh, God, yes.
She's...
Oh, wow. Yeah, she's a popular person.
And the other one is... who's the karate guy, the actor?
Mr. Miyagi.
No.
Daniel's son.
Wash on, wash off. No.
Steven Seagal.
Steven Seagal.
Why Steven Seagal?
Because I just think he's a fraud. I just think he preaches. He's the type of guy I'd like to carry out.
And his pronunciation of Vladimir Putin was extremely annoying, wasn't it? Vladimir Putin. And you're like, what are you doing? What are you doing, son?
I just think, if I'm sorry, but he's the sort of guy.
But look, that's
come into the car park and let me see.
Alfie, that's a very right wing selection there. So are you of the right?
No, I'm of the person.
Okay.
I'll give you an instance. Most of the time I would vote Conservative.
Yeah.
But I've voted Labour before. When I think it's the right person for the job. Forgive me for saying, Jeremy Corbyn was an absolute no.
Yes.
There is a no way. I'm sorry, forgive me for saying, but even on the limited amount of school that I did, I don't want my headmaster running the country.
Well, let's remember the best Jeremy Corbyn policy of them all. He didn't want to shut down the nuclear submarine manufacturers in Barrow-in-Furness, but he didn't want nuclear weapons on them. So he decided that they were going to have Trident nuclear submarines with no missiles. Right now that is a very special level of stupidity.
Well, I was going to say
Britain's independent nuclear deterrent isn't independence; it's not a nuclear deterrent.
That's taking it to a whole different level.
Brilliant, isn't it? Brilliant. But Nicola Sturgeon, now, look, I'll tell you what I don't like about Nicola Sturgeon. I genuinely feel that Scotland is an amazing country. I'm incredibly proud of the United Kingdom. I think we've got 4 great countries together. And I just feel that Nicola Sturgeon's whole shtick is just hating the English.
Listen, I completely agree with you. I've got parks in Scotland.
Yeah.
And I love visiting those parks and seeing them. That's not just a pundit that I'm throwing out, that I genuinely do. But anybody that wants to break our great country up and turn us down into segments of what we are, what makes us great, I just think to myself, get a life.
Yeah. Well, you're talking about breaking things up. Look, there's this talk about what's going on in the Brits and the fact that the Artist of the Year now, there's no women involved. What's your, and I know we're darting off topic, but what's your view on things like the whole non-binary debate, the whole gender thing, the whole, what I consider to be the war on women, the idea that women suddenly don't have their own safe spaces?
Okay, this is my view. There is a natural selection that started long before when nature began, where men were the hunter,
yes,
and the women were the nature,
the homemakers. Yeah.
And look, do I think men and women are equal? No, I don't. What I think, women are better at some things than men, and men are better at others. Don't try to make them the same.
Yes.
That's not the natural thing. We have a natural inability. So I'm sorry, all of this gender difference that I see now, I actually think is killing us.
Yes.
That's my view.
I mean, I feel very, very sad. And Jordan Peterson was interviewed by Piers Morgan. I thought it was a brilliant interview. It's worth checking out on YouTube, by the way. But Jordan Peterson was saying the way that they are emasculating these men, young men are told, I mean, bear in mind, something like a quarter of American boys in school are on Ritalin for behavioural problems. And all that's happening is they're literally just turning around saying boys being little boys is actually a bad thing in of itself. Horrendous.
Oh, it's crazy.
Now, it's fair to say the gypsies got no dog in that hunt, have they?
Let me say this to you. Well, don't get me started on it, but I've got to be honest with you, is look, women, for me, if my son was in a club and a woman was being picked on, he'd step in.
Yes.
So would I.
Yes.
Well, rightly or wrongly, we'd step in. And I still want to open a door for a woman.
Yes.
I still want to behave what I believe is as a man, as a gentleman.
Gentleman, yeah.
For me, that's you know, that's the way I see it. How do I want a woman to behave? I want her to behave like a woman. I don't want her to behave like a man.
Yeah.
And when they talk about...
And when somebody turns around and says it's discriminatory because you won't date a woman with a penis, I mean, I'm not being funny.
I'll pass.
Alfie, is there anything that you want to promote while you've come on today, then?
It's Versace top.
Just to say thank you. And I think what you do is fantastic. When we have media that's actually putting out there small people like me to give people like me a voice so other people can see, genuinely, hold on, if an idiot like him can get somewhere, there's hope for me.
Well, I'll tell you what we're going to do with Alfie. You can get into some decent place I can get into. You can't come for a drink with us tonight, but we're gonna go out on the lash with Alfie Best at some point.
I think that would be pretty cool, wouldn't
Great.
it?
Well, Alfie, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Coming up next, we're going to be talking to somebody from the RMT who's a crazed extremist who supported Vladimir Putin. He doesn't know